Red Bull, Ferrari, McLaren, Mercedes, Aston, Alpine, Williams, RB, Haas, Sauber. 10 teams in Formula 1 which all want something. Most probably every single one of them wants to win the championship, wants to win races, wants to be glorious and win everything, but that's really not gonna happen. It would be quite unrealistic for me to say that Williams, oh Williams, so cool, you guys can win the championship this year. That is your goal, that is your sole purpose. Alex Albon, Logan Sargent, you can win races, you can win the constructors, you can win everything. That should be your goal, shouldn't it, James Vowles? That should be your goal. But that's not going to happen because they have a car slower than a sloth and Logan Sargent, who crashes out every weekend. So with that said, this is every Formula 1 team's goals for 2024. What they should be accomplishing and what they should be doing. Because I don't think crashing out or finishing P20 is that much of an accomplishment. Now, Red Bull might have aspirations to win the championship this year, but who knows, that actually might not happen. Ferrari, McLaren, they're both cooking, Lando and Leclerc are also cooking, and it seems like Red Bull's championship isn't secure. If you don't want Red Bull to win, subscribe and like, otherwise that will not happen. The only target that Red Bull has this year is to win literally everything there is to win. So far in Red Bull's eyes, it seems like 2024 is already kind of a failed season. Because in the recent Formula 1 history, we kind of remember Red Bull as being that dominant force that no one can stop. By Red Bull, I mean Max Verstappen.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
Max Verstappen wins for Max Verstappen, Max Verstappen, Max Verstappen, Max Verstappen, Max Verstappen, Max Verstappen, Max Verstappen.
For a period of time, my bro was literally winning everything. Of the last 75 starts, as of recording this right now, Max Verstappen has won the last 50. That is a good stat to hold. And for Red Bull, it would be quite disappointing not to win everything. Now, the Drivers' Championship, that might actually be winnable this year. Max Verstappen is Max Verstappen. He will keep on winning races until he doesn't win races and eventually dies. But the constructors might be a tad difficult, because unlike other teams who have two drivers driving for their car competently, scoring points every single race and finishing as high as you possibly can, sometimes even winning races and double podiums and stuff like that, for Red Bull, this year that might be a tad difficult. Because yes, on one hand you have the fabulous, the amazing, not Hudson Hornet, Max Verstappen. But then on the other side of the garage, you have, well, Sergio Perez, who for the last 3 races hasn't gotten into Q3, the last 2 being knocked out of Q1, and in the last 2 races somehow manages to crash out. Monaco once crash out. In Canada, he managed to make contact twice, once with another driver, once with the barrier. Not the best way to celebrate a contract renewal, is it? And the Spanish Grand Prix is literally 2 weeks away. That's not even on anybody's mind at the moment. But Sergio Perez somehow still manages to get a 3-place grid penalty for that race.
What the fuck?
Which hasn't even started. Nowhere near. McLaren are cooking.
Wins!
Ferrari are cooking.
Wins!
And I don't think that Constructors' Championship would be that easy for Red Bull to obtain as it was last year when Max Verstappen won that thing on his own. Sergio Perez, irrelevant. You know, similarly to James Bond, if he doesn't kill someone, mission failed. Red Bull right now, if they don't win everything, mission failed. And maybe they won't get him next time because Adrian Newey's leaving. Haas has to not finish last this year, their main objective. As I said at the start, every team has aspirations of being good one day, but for the whole entire history that Haas has been in the sport, 1, they really haven't ever had any good drivers, and 2, those drivers usually crash out, but 3, they've pretty much been last every single season. Or near last, unless it's 2018, which, well, they came 5th, but they had a driver that crashed out on the safety car and thought that Ericsson hit him. Over all of the years that Haas has been in the sport, their drivers haven't been the greatest. But this year it seems like their car is actually somewhat decent. Their car can, on occasions, run in the points. Both drivers, not just one of them. Now, yes, agreed, one has been a lot better than the other, and the other has been kind of malicious on track.
Yeah, just drove into me.
But hey, being malicious has helped Haas score a lot of points, so there's that. And at the moment, they're nowhere near being last. They're actually they're kind of cooking in P7, eh? So if whatever Ao Komatsu is doing to the team, honestly, fair enough. But another thing that they should keep in mind is next season, Hulkenberg's leaving and then they're left with Magnussen. Magnussen, is he the greatest? No. They should probably secure 2 good drivers. And then, you know what? Maybe things are going to start moving up and up and up for them. Maybe next year, they'll be scoring podiums. And then the year after that, hey, Haas are going to win the championship. Haas RTG IRL, it's actually happening. Currently, I'm midway editing through this video, and if you couldn't tell, with those words that have just come out of my fat gob, seems like I've had a couple too many. Haas, never scoring podiums, never winning a race. Delusion really hit when I said that. Yeah. Ferrari haven't won anything in ages. This year, Constructors' Championship should be their focus. Now, if I were recording this video before the Canada race, I would have no hesitantly said, oh, Ferrari win the drivers, win the constructors. Honestly, they got it in the bag. But after Canada,
We have issues on the engine, but keep pushing.
1.2 seconds off. We are not going to go anywhere. So.
5 minutes later.
Yeah, whatever issue that was has turned terminal for Charles Leclerc.
not quite sure that is capable at the moment. But I will firmly stand here and say that I personally think that Ferrari have more of a chance to win the Constructors than Red Bull. They have 2 good, competent drivers who know how to score points. Both have won a race this year, and, well, Red Bull, as I mentioned previously, they only have 1. And therefore, Ferrari, they're more likely to win that thing, aren't they? I think throughout all of the pain that Ferrari fans have been through, finally now it's about time that Ferrari actually do something. Yes, Ferrari have gotten wins and wins and wins and competed for championships in the past, but this year is slightly different. I think it's about time for them to cook, and I think that should be their primary focus this year. They have Hamilton locked down, they have Charles locked down. What else is there to do but battle for the championship? And if they don't, your average Ferrari fan will be bawling his eyes out, smashing his everything. Depression. Williams need to build a solid base for that team to build up from. Now, it's not like Williams is a bad team or anything. They've literally won championships, race wins, literally everything there is to do in Formula 1. They've done it in the past. And they've also been last, and they've also been awful and crashed out a lot. They've literally done everything there is to do. They've been through the highs, they've been through the lows, they've been through the mud, they've been through the sky and private jet. They've done everything. And right now, they're on the way to build that team back up. They need a solid foundation which they can build up from. They have a great team principal, arguably one of the best in the sport in James Vowles. And he has been stirring that ship to glory. Not stirring the ship like the Titanic into an iceberg and making it sink. He's doing bits. He's locked down Alex Albon, and that I don't think he's going to go for a while. But there's only one good driver on the team, and a big hindrance in Logan Sargent. He's obviously trying to lock down Carlos Sainz, and if he does that, that team has a perfect baseline for next year and the year after and the year after to keep on getting exponentially better and better and better. In Williams, I have faith because, let's be real, in Canada they were low-key cooking. But unfortunate circumstances got into the way of Alex Albon, in that being a parked car in the middle of the track.
You can't park this, huh?
And then you got Logan Sargent doing his own thing in P20. But that, you know, if he leaves, if he goes, if he gets fired, and there's another team, that's a good solid foundation. Both drivers will be able to score points and help that team back up to former glory. Yay! Aston Martin desperately need to fix their car.
You've got a problem, change your fucking car.
Now, your team name might be Aston Martin, you might be Aston Martin through and through, but you're not the same as, say, the Aston Martin that James Bond drives, because James Bond, he always wins.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
But Aston Martin, it seems like you have never won a race. Now, you came very close at the start of 2022, and honestly, you were cooking back then. Fundamentally, your car is, in theory, a good car, but since Canada last year, which is literally like 365 days ago, it's been going downhill and even more downhill every single race. In my very, very humble opinion, I think Aston Martin's main focus for this season and next season going onwards and onwards is to focus on their car. They have Fernando Alonso. He will be able to extract everything out of it. You don't need to look for another driver. And however this pains me to say, Lance Stroll, he's not going in, but at the same time, Lance Stroll is actually an all-right driver. Think he's not that bad. Be real. Mike Crack is funny, but he's also a pretty good team principal, and everything around Aston Martin is also pretty solid. They have a solid baseline, and I have no doubt in Lawrence Stroll, but their car is their big hindrance. They had upgrades in Imola. Imola was awful. You know, Monaco, also awful. Canada, cooking. So if they keep on that trajectory, they will be exponentially growing as well. But if you don't upgrade your car, then you're going to be sunk into that big dark hole like they were last year. Were the second fastest car, and by the end of the season, 5th, 6th, maybe 4th on some occasions, and that's it. Just upgrade your car, you'll be fine, please. Mercedes need to get back to the top. You see, Mercedes is a team that has actually accomplished so much.
It's 7 consecutive Constructors' Championships for Mercedes. They win here in Imola.
So much. But since that treacherous day on the 12th of December 2021...
But the championship can only be won by one, and it's going Dutch in 2021!
It seems like everything has slowly been going downhill. From only one race win in the last 3 or so years, a couple handful of pole positions, to podiums, a couple podiums, to 2024, they've only amassed a total of 1 podium. Everything that's going on in that team isn't too good, to now even Lewis Hamilton giving up on the whole project and deciding to call it a day. The team's awful, I'm moving to Ferrari, I have more of a chance to win a championship there. Mercedes look like a right old mess, and on some occasions that they've had opportunities to maybe even win a race, George Russell has decided to put it into the wall, so that's also not too good. Their focus is to next year bring in a good driver with George Russell and both be competing at the top, similar to McLaren brought in Oscar Piastri, and now they're both at the top. Obviously there's a 1-2 dynamic, Lando being first, Piastri second. Mercedes need the exact same thing. Russell being primary driver and then maybe Antonelli being slightly behind him, and both charging for the top. We've seen that they're getting better and better and better, and Allison thinks that the fundamental of the car right now is better than they were 2022, 2023, and that means that, who knows, maybe they might be back soon, and that should be their primary focus, because the Mercedes powerhouse that it is really shouldn't be squabbling with the Aston Martins or squabbling with the RBs. You know what I'm saying? Back at the top, the Red Bulls, the McLarens, the Ferrari, and the McLarens of these days, not the McLarens of like the 2016 days, where yeah. And speaking of the McLarens, they should be starting to contest for more and more wins, regularly, and getting the wins regularly. McLaren is a team that literally a couple years ago were the worst car on the grid, and they have managed to build that team back up to literally what it is now. A team that is getting podiums every single race. A team that potentially might win races every single race. But their sole target this year is not just, in theory, oh, we could have won that race. It's to start winning races consistently. I mean, Oscar Piastri needs to be winning races. Lando Norris needs to be winning races. And who knows, if they stack up enough of those race wins and podiums and everything and take it all off Max Verstappen, they might be contesting for the championship. But this year, I think that might be a slight long stretch for McLaren to be contesting for the championship. I still think the Red Bull and Ferrari have a better option for that, or better possibilities. McLaren, though, race wins and better podiums and more podiums and race wins and all of that, that should be their target. They've built the team up from what it is now. Stella, Zach Brown, solid foundation of a team. Beautiful. Then you got 2 good drivers in Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. Both they've proven to be able to do everything that a good driver is, you know, meant to do. And the only thing that's missing is wins and championships. But the wins have to come first, and they haven't really been coming in like they have for Ferrari. So, focus on the wins. Lando might have won a race this year, but will he win any more? And will Piastri follow? Or after every single race, when Lando finishes second in every single interview, he'd be saying, yeah, we should have won that race. We could have won that race. We could have won that race. Well, you could have won Sochi 2021, but that was your mistake. And your mistakes, if they keep creeping in, and the team mistakes and stuff like that, you won't be winning races and you won't be winning championships. So it now is down to you to just do it. Alpine need to fix that entire team. There was a point in time where Alonso literally won 2 championships in a Renault, Alpine, same thing. There was also a point in time where Alpine Renault had Alonso and Oscar Piastri, and in the span of, say, a couple months, they managed to lose them both. How do you fuck up that badly? But over the last year or so, it seems like they've been getting rid of all of the weak links that have been in the Alpine team. Otmar Safnauer, everything in... so many people in that team. And most recently, I don't know whether this might be because of a certain incident that happened in Monaco. A little birdie tells me that it is. But Esteban Ocon has been banished from the grounds after this season. So maybe that's a good step in the right direction. Right now, they are one of the slowest cars on the grid. So I think they need to start building their way back up to where they were before their massive fall off. And that's why they need to fix everything in their team. Because, you know, a lot of teams have good fundamental structures of the team. Their base layer is strong. It's like, say the Eiffel Tower, the base layer was made out of, cardboard. That thing is either going to get swooshed down by the wind or the water is just going to break it down. That is what Alpine is. Other teams, they have a strong fundamental thing and they're just missing that peak performance. And Alpine, at the moment, they're missing a lot of that structure.
What?
Therefore, they literally need to fix everything. Bring in a good driver who doesn't crash into your teammates and is actually respectful. The amount of shenanigans and shit that Esteban Ocon was saying in the post-driver interviews in Canada, he said, oh, I'm such a good team player. I'll let Gasly through because I'm such a good team player. Now, I shouldn't have let him through because, you know, that was my position. And we all know that Gasly wouldn't have caught Ricciardo. But I'm such a good team player. He's literally a sales board for himself. Grow up. But anyway, he's gone and Alpine just need to fix everything that team has. Starting from their livery next year. Bring back the 2021 livery, please. RB just need to help their drivers. That is it. At the end of the day, even though RB thinks that it's its own team standing on its lonesome, it's really not. It's just a junior team of Red Bull trying to get junior drivers to move up to the top. Now, Daniel Ricciardo isn't really a junior driver. He is pretty much nearly hitting his retirement.
Why is he still in F1?
But there's not really much for RB to do in the sport. They're not never going to win a championship. They're probably never going to win another race. Like, if they even get close to winning the championship, Red Bull literally banished them from everything. They'll sell the team midway through the season just so that doesn't happen. They won't even sell it, they'll just disband it. That's why their only purpose is just to take care of the drivers. Yuki Tsunoda signed another contract. If they help him get better and better and better this season, next season, then who knows, maybe but at the end of 2025, 26, he might be in that Red Bull. Daniel Ricciardo, he might be back. Give him like a couple more races. We'll see what comes out of it, whether he's actually back. And who knows, he might get another better drive or his career might be over. And then there's another driver in the team and then, you know, develop him and so on and so forth. It's just there's not much for that team to ever accomplish or do. That's the... And as I keep on saying, Sauber has just got to build a foundation for Audi when they take over. Audi has aspirations to hit the floor running the second that jet lands going at a speed of however fast they're going. Audi wants to hit that speed and keep on hitting that speed and then keep on going faster and faster and faster until they take off again. Audi doesn't want to dilly-dally in the back. Audi doesn't want to have bad drivers who always crash out. Audi wants to be a team which is fighting at the top. And at the moment, they're buying a team who is 10th in the standings, 0 points. Just awful. Don't think that's the best way to start. Therefore, Sauber stake, they're not going to win anything. They're probably not even going to score points this year. But carry on building a good solid foundation. And who knows, maybe that might be a tad. There's not much for them to do, really. They've secured Nico Hulkenberg, maybe secure another good driver. Who knows? Maybe try get Carlos Sainz, but that's not going too well. Maybe try get somebody else or somebody. What is that team? At the end of the day, what is that team? They were once so good, winning races and T2s, P3s in the championship. Up Kubica, let's go, we want a race. But it's just fallen apart to the point where they are now. Green and awful. Anyway, that's literally it. If you think that any other team has any other goals and aspirations for this season, put it down in the comments. Whilst you're there, you might as well like and subscribe. Don't know why you wouldn't, because just do it. Don't die, because then you can't watch the videos and then, you know, everybody's sad and you can't. Anyway, have a safe and fantastic rest of your day. Push.
That's all, folks.